All right, so today I want to do some work on my Ford 1910 tractor. If you're subscribed to my channel, you probably know about this tractor. I pulled it out from the woods. It was abandoned, threw it on that trailer, towed it home with that truck, got it running, and I've used it for some bush hogging work. You see I've got my bush hog here, but obviously it's pretty rough. I love the paint. I love this patina, but the hood is kind of dented. I kind of want to just push that out, make it look a little nicer. This is loose, we'll tighten that up. Just all kinds of stuff. Some wiring. This is not connected anywhere anymore, this dashboard. So the first thing I'm going to do is try and push some of these dents out. Definitely not perfect, still pretty dinged up, but those dents aren't half as deep. Okay, so next thing I'm gonna try and fix is just try and tighten this bolt maybe. When I turn the steering wheel, you see that kind of, it's just not tight. You can see someone has tried to mess with this before, so it may just be too far gone. I'm gonna get some wrenches on that and see what we can do. Set this guy here. Yeah, it's pretty seized up. Yeah, so that looks pretty rough. I'm gonna get that cleaned up on the wire wheel. What I use to clean out this is some really rough steel wool and just a big drill bit on my drill. And it seemed to work really well. You see it pulled a lot of the crap out, and I can see it's nice and clean in there. All right, so as you can see, I tightened that down pretty hard. We don't have any movement. So that's all fixed up. Next, I've already flushed this tank out, but for some reason this has come loose again. And we're gonna cover this super loose dashboard. We also have a lot of chewed wires from a mouse that was living in here before I got it. We're also gonna try and get some lights back onto the RPM gauge here, so we'll start digging into that. All right, I've got the tank loosened. It is kind of like full of diesel, but we're gonna start taking stuff loose. I'll probably get this cross member right here taken off. So as you can see right here, here's our regulator. Obviously rats have chewed that stuff up pretty bad. This wire that has actually broken off at some point, which goes here, you can see it right in there. So after messing around with some wiring, this wire was disconnected. I now have a oil light and a battery light. Yeah, so we have an oil light. See, there you go. So we have a battery light and an oil light. When I disconnect that, it goes off, back on, off. I'm gonna keep working on covering up some of these wires, especially stuff like this. Okay, so as you can see, I'm fixing up a lot of these wires. I'm replacing them. That's why I keep a lot of this scrap stuff, because it's all got the interesting colors, you know. See, red and blue, and you've got all these crazy colors here, like red and blue and white and whatnot. You see I've replaced, this is our glow plug, wire right here, that one was really bad. That's what was left of it. I'm gonna keep working on some of those. This one, that was really close to shorting out there. I'm gonna leave some stuff like this. It's not that big of a deal to me, and it's gonna be fine. So you see I've got more of the wiring taken care of. I'm not worried about these because they won't short out. I've already tested it. The rest of this is okay for now. Someday I would like to, you know, really make it nice, but I don't have that much time today. I've ended up having to cut this off right here. I had to cut it on this side on both sides, and then I had to cut this one off, but no big deal. From what I found, whatever's left of this rubber measured up to be close to 1/2 inch, so I'm gonna remake some 1/2 inch rubber spacers, and I'm just gonna use a bolt to go up in there. Okay, so I've got my spacers made. About 4 of these add up to 1/2 inch, and this is how I was doing it. I had these rubber pads, and these were actually from where the gas tank was kind of rigged up to sit on. It took a socket and punched a bunch of holes in it with the socket using this, and they came out as perfect circles. So I'm gonna start drilling holes in the middle of that, and then we'll work on getting the bolts through it and on the tractor. Okay, so here's my setup for the 2 bottom bolts. You see we have the 4 rubber spacers. I have a washer, this bolt, and then this nut. This nut has 2 like lockers in it right there where my thumb is. It holds it in place instead of using Loctite or a lock washer or anything. So we'll go ahead and put these on. So I just got these put on and kind of made a stupid simple mistake here. Oh, and this right here is a lever for the throttle. See, it stops it. So I just have to flip that around and put the bolt end up. All right, there's the top one. There's our bottom ones. That's nice and firm now. That's awesome. I'm gonna get the tank back on. All right, so everything's put back together. We're gonna hop up on here and check everything out. So you can see it's not completely straight. This side is up further, but not really a big deal. But I'm not worried about this being perfect. It's in good shape for what I need it. We're gonna try and start it. And I wanna see if this oil light, or if the oil sensor is actually working or not. Oil light's off. I think that's just one of these wires up here. So as you can see, this does not have the original alternator on it. So the original one had these 4 wires going to it. That right there is the coolant temperature sensor. Now all I have is a single post with 1 wire coming from it, and someone has put that wire running down straight to where the positive on the battery is right here. And then you have this red wire right here, which I was very confused by, because I look on the wiring diagram and all I see is blue. So there's blue. That's the factory wire that would run to the alternator. So there was some electrical tape covering up this area, and then I find this. So this has been chewed by a rat, obviously, but we have the original blue has now been messed with and turned red. So I'm gonna try and put that back at least. Maybe our charging light will go off, but I have a feeling it has something to do with one of these. All right, so I have now put this blue charging wire back on there like it should be. I have this is blue again. That was chewed by a rat. It wasn't that bad, but I went ahead and just put a nice new end on that. There's actually some terminals up in this gap right here. So there's those two terminals right there. And so after doing some testing, I found that this yellow wire is what turns the battery light off once it gets 12 volts. It clicks a relay in here and that shuts off. I've done some research. I think this is a 12 SI or 10 SI. I don't really know, something of that sorts. From what I found is the number 1 terminal is what goes to the signal wire to turn the warning light off. So we're gonna go ahead and put this connector on it and connect that. Okay, so now I've got that wire hooked up. As long as this charges and this shuts off the light, that's all I need. So I'm gonna test it, and then I'm probably just gonna tape these off and leave them back here. All right, you can see our glow plugs are hot. There's our battery light and oil light. Let's see if they go off. There we go. So that's taken care of. On to the next thing. Okay, so one of the problems I was having was this throttle was rattling really bad against the dashboard here. It was really annoying. What it ended up being was this bracket right in there. You see I have a bolt on it now, and it's actually where it should be. At some point, it had fallen down here, and you see where it kind of wore that out. It just sat there for years and years and years. So now that that's put back, that stays in place. It doesn't move around when you throttle it around, and it doesn't rattle anymore. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with how this has come out. I think that's really all I'm gonna do, except one last thing is this flasher switch. And the flashers come on every single time you turn the lights on. I want to replace this. The switch is like 60 bucks online. So this dashboard's already shot pretty much, you know, as you saw earlier. It's shot. So I'm going to take this old switch out and put in just one of those round rocker switches. So here's our rocker switch here. You see nothing crazy. It's just got the 3 prongs to make it light up. First we gotta open up this hole here big enough to fit that. So you see it just doesn't quite go in there. It's barely too small. And unfortunately my drill bit is not big enough, so now I gotta figure something else out. Okay, so you can see I got that kind of grinded out there. I just used my Dremel, and that fits well. We'll work on wiring this light up now, or this switch. All right, so let's pull this old switch out here. The plug. All right, so we've got it disconnected. So I'm gonna start by just cutting these up here. Obviously, these wires have been chewed. It doesn't really matter that much if they get shorted out. And I'm gonna try and put heat shrink over the new connections anyways. All right, there's those two. These are kind of loose, but not that big a deal. And lastly, I've got this black wire, not super long, but we'll use this just to ground out that LED on the switch. All right, there's that. So now we're gonna put our switch in and kind of hook these up. So there's our switch, and then we've got our 2 positive wires. So I'll go ahead and hook those 2 up. And then our negative wire through the dash. Go ahead, pull it all the way through. and hook it on. So now I've got everything in place. We'll go ahead and lock our switch back into the hole. There's that. Looks good. And now we'll ground this wire. All right, so I've got this. I'm gonna try and ground it right here. Perfect. All right, so let me shut this light off. I'll show y'all. Okay, see the key is on. You see our lights are on. Speedo light, the work light back here is on. You press the switch. It also blinks with the blinkers, which I think is super cool. And now when I have my headlights replaced, these won't be, you know, messing up my vision. So all right, so I think that's gonna be the end of this video. We got a lot done. I'm really happy with what we got done. Coming soon, I'm gonna be doing a lot more work to this. I'm gonna be doing an oil change and a hydraulic and transmission oil change, all kinds of stuff. So I hope y'all like that video, and consider subscribing if you wanna see more content on the tractor. We ride four-wheelers, all kinds of projects.